That's alright for you. That's alright, no mama. Any way you do, but that's alright.
This year's winner of the Iris Prize. Congratulations.
Wow, that's quite overwhelming.
Head to our website, then click on Festival. This is where you'll find and watch all of this year's films.
Hello, welcome to the Iris Podcast.
This year we're all about Best of British.
And welcome to opening night of the 14th Iris Prize LGBT Plus Film Festival.
For nearly 2 decades, Emmanuel Anyamosigwe's obsession with diversity has won the hearts and minds of filmmakers and audiences alike. His blueprint for how minorities should be represented has stood the test of time, long before the penny dropped for other institutions far and wide that diversity truly matters. This year, as Buff marks its 15th anniversary, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Never has diversity been more relevant than in 2020. And as long as the issue remains in the public eye, Emmanuel has ensured that for creatives everywhere, the British Urban Film Festival is a broad church that welcomes all creeds and all colours, comfortable in its own skin, and bold in its approach to storytelling and showcasing film as seen through the social and cultural lens. From BFM to Buckingham Palace, it's been quite a journey for the man who literally bet the house on making Buff the success that it is today.
Fantastic. Well, look, welcome to the Drama Showcase 2 Q&A. My name is Claire Anyamosigwe. I am the Managing Director at Bath, and this is our 15th anniversary. This is our 15th year of programming predominantly Black British film, working class, diverse filmmakers from all around the world. Today, I'm joined by Avril Russell and Stephen Davis, Misha Nadine, and they're going to be talking to us about their films, which are showing on our website right now, so you can go and have a look. So I'm just going to welcome Avril, since we're probably going alphabetically ordered, but also ladies first.
Hi.
Just introduce yourself. Tell us about the title of your film and how you came to direct this fantastic piece of work.
Okay, well, hi, my name is Avril E. Russell, and I'm a writer-director. My film is called All on a Summer's Day. I've wanted to make films since the age of 7, and it has been a lot harder than I thought it would be. But with this film and with Buff's recognition and platform, it feels like I finally achieved something.
Brilliant. Well, welcome. You're very, very welcome. So just talk to us quickly about the length of time from writing, which is brilliant to know that you're a writer as well, from writing to pre-production to going into production to then editing. What was that process like? How long did that take you?
Well, it's hard to say because the story lived with me for a long time. I first wrote a short that the film is based on in the mid-90s for Lenny Henry's production company. It's a short film called Hard Shoulder, and it was sort of shown at a local film festival in Nottingham, where I'm from. And at that time, Quentin Tarantino was the patron of this film festival. Pretty random.
Oh.
He was in the audience the night my short film was shown, and afterwards he came running after me like, oh my god, I love you, man. He's going on me, saying, "That would make a great feature film." And it stuck with me for ages that, yeah, it could make a great feature film. And eventually I decided quite a while later, over a decade later, let's say, that I'm not getting anywhere trying to go through the mainstream in the usual doors. I'm going to try and do something a guerrilla style, something fast, dirty, I can control it.
Yes.
It comes out the gate and kicks like a mule and ends, and, you know, do what I can, because there's so much talent that, you know, behind the scenes talent, for example, that can't get a bite. And then there are actors that can't get seen and people who aren't taken seriously for things. And there's so much negative and so much we don't know if in our industry. It's quite toxic. And trying to remove myself from that toxicity, I sat down and I wrote something that was going to be tight, less than 90 minutes, more than 75, let's say, that sort of tightness, because guerrilla, but it's serious.
Yeah.
I wrote the script maybe in a week because it had sort of sat with me for a while. Went through several redrafts, but and then figuring out the logistics. You have to feed your crew. If it's night shoots, you've got to figure out how to keep them warm. Night shoots also mean you've got to have good equipment. There are moving pieces, so you might need a rig of some kind or tracks, and it starts to get a bit, but you know, do you go with that, or do you just get your bag of chips, your camcorder, and you run around in the bushes? You have a choice.
Right.
I'm after a certain standard though, and I can't allow standards to be perceived as lower than they are. So you get caught up, although you want guerrilla, you still need a bit of money. So then I got stuck with some of the rounds of the schemes and the schemes and the schemes. And you go through these days where you realize you're just really there to tick a box to show that they had you in the room. And so much of it is already prescribed, and you get whispers that there are people who've already been chosen, but it's just, you know, and it's really cynical and it's really depressing. But ultimately I came away with a lot of interest in the script, but no money. And then suddenly money arrived out of the blue. I mean, that's a whole other story. But when people you've never met suddenly say they want to help you make a film, what do? They're going to give you small chunk of cash.
Yeah.
Do you do it or do you hang on?
Sure. Okay. I love that cliffhanger. That was very film-esque. Take the money, but you leave it after the break. So Misha and Stefan, I'm going to bring you guys in now. Lovely to see you here. Can you guys just introduce yourself, maybe Misha first and then Stefan, and just talk to us about how you came to co-direct Tales of the Fatherless?
Okay, so yes, I'm Misha Nadine Elliott. I wrote Tales of the Fatherless in 2012, whilst I was at university, actually. There's a lot of things happening. I think it was around the time where there was riots. There's a lot of talk about the Black male and how they are treated in society and things like that. So I wanted to show what all the background things that are happening that people don't actually see. The media presents us in a way that's not always accurate. So I wanted to show something that's really close to home to a lot of people in our community. I started as a play, and then I brought it to Birmingham because I wrote when I was in University of Bedfordshire. But then when I went to Birmingham, we brought it and we had a whole new cast. And Stefan was actually the lead character. And then he actually helped me a lot with the directing of the play, and he became the co-director through that because he had a lot of experience. Wow. And he's also my sister's husband. So that helps. So yeah, he just brought in a lot more of the film knowledge and expertise on that. So for what, because he helped direct the theatre production, he might as well direct the film too. So he definitely helps along the way. So you can talk about your journey, Stefan.
Yeah, hey, my name is Stefan Davis. I'm an actor, originally trained, be honest, degree in acting, and graduated a long time back in 2007 from Italia Conti Academy of Theatre Arts. And when I was on the come up, I mean, it's the age old, there's not enough parts that are decent for people who look like us. It just never is. And it kind of got to the point where the only way you can really control your destiny is to create your destiny. And so for a lot of the elements, I lived in London for 5 years doing the auditioning circuit and things kind of trundling along. And then coming back to Birmingham, kind of almost falling in with Sade, who's a producer, and Misha, and kind of like just finding a common want, but a common need as well, with regards to what we want to see and what we want to do and the potential that is available to us. And so with that, it just kind of, it almost like things started to align themselves appropriately for us to be working collaborators. They had things that I felt I could bring my skill set to, and they saw something in me that they felt I could bring a skill set, that I saw things that they needed, and they saw things in me that they could use and things like that. So it kind of worked out that way. And like we did the play initially, and then when the conversation was about it becoming a film, it just kind of developed that, you know what, the people who had done the play, because they knew the characters, they breathed these characters. And also, I mean, a lot of us, we signed on with knowing that there probably wasn't going to be any money in it, but the passion and the love and the wanting, the seeing the bigger vision led us to be, you know what, well, if you can see the vision in the play, you're going to get first dibs when it comes to the film, when we're really looking to make headways and break new ground. And so, yeah, for me, coming on as a director, I've been moving more into the directing area over time. I've made my own short films. I've directed music videos and things like that. And I've worked in production for independent films and in TV as well. But as for the opportunity to kind of step out without a big institution, big infrastructure, and to really do something that tell a story that I feel is true to us as people, true to the art form, because I don't feel like, I feel like our play, I feel like our film rather, I feel like it talks to the truth of a moment. It talks to the truth of the young black male experience, but it's not meant to necessarily be this is a gritty, dark, like this is the dirt, this is the grit of the urban experience, but it's presented in a way that aims to be palatable for a wider audience. So whereas for example, a lot of projects that are released, you kind of expect it's got to have swearing in it, it's got to have a sex scene in it, it's got to have whole load of drug abuse and all these kind of things in it. We coming from a faith background, wanted to tell a story that had all of these elements in, but we could tell the story with as wide a reach as possible, so that we wouldn't turn off certain audiences to it.
And that's an essence of dignity as well.
And that was really important for us, because we've often sat down and been like, we see a lot of things from like, why does it always have to have so much swearing in it? Why does it always have to have sex in it? Why does it always have to have drug use in it? And it's not to say that there isn't space for those things, but we were kind of like, well, how can we challenge ourselves as filmmakers, as storytellers, as people, and also as people who want to put these stories to an audience who might quite easily be turned off by these things? How can we present it in a palatable way that will give it the broad appeal and give it as broad an audience as possible?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for that introduction. So Avril, can you just give us a synopsis of what the storyline is? Because I know we've got a fantastic actress in the movie, Antonia Thomas, and she's left our screens. You know, she was like my woman crush Wednesday for forever when she was in Misfits. So it's so lovely to see her return to what would have been the big screen if we had the festival in the traditional setting of a cinema, but obviously lovely to see her on digitally through your film. What is the storyline? And without giving giving the audience too much away, to still be able to want to go and have a look and watch it a bit later today.
It's a very simple story about a young woman who is about to give up on her main dream in life, which was to be a musician, and join the rat race. And on the way home from the interview to her final gig, her car breaks down and a stranger stops to offer her help. And she's not sure whether to accept it, because she's broken down in an area that's locally known as the Highway of Tears. There have been a lot of strange suicides or disappearances in the area. Now, girl isn't really a natural victim.
So Tale of Fatherless is about young men growing up fatherless for multiple different reasons, and their struggle to find themselves, their identity as young black men in a society which is actually against the way that they are. They all get caught up in different situations, and it's about them finding themselves and who do they rely on for guidance, what kind of things stop them from becoming who they are as well. And it's literally who will father the fatherless. So that's the question that we ask throughout the whole of the film, and it has some very deep messages in there within each character's story. Stephanie, do you want to add to that?
That pretty much covers it. It's definitely a coming of age story that follows the characters as they are faced with very big situations that nearly all of them aren't equipped to deal with, because they don't necessarily have the role model or the role models in their lives. So they're just trying to find their way through, which can lead to devastating consequences sometimes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I'm Georgie Curran. I co-wrote and directed and edited Small City. It's a film based in London, and it's set in like the underbelly of the crime world, but we kind of wanted to just show we didn't want to glamorize it, and we just wanted to show like the truth that someone can end up in an amoral situation, someone with morals in that kind of world. And we kind of shot it all guerrilla style, like minimal permits, and like with locations that would be the location in the script is actually where we went and shot it. Almost like a dogma style of filmmaking, without really adding too much lights and shooting with existing lighting. And we didn't really do any art direction and stuff. It's almost documentary style, but obviously it's an original drama we wrote ourselves.
To cut a long story short, my wife passed away 10 years ago, and
so sorry to hear that. And when I read that, I stopped.
Yeah.
Tracks. I was, because I read every single bio because I do the marketing for the festival, but that came up as something that was in the notes, and I was like, "E, have you read this?" I just asked Emmanuel. I know he probably already had, but I was like, "Oh my God!" I mean, I can't even imagine that, Ed. So sorry, but keep going.
It's not what the film is all about, but
sure.
What happened was when my wife passed away, leaving me with 2 small children, and the question in my head when she went was, what the hell do I tell them in the morning? And I think this film is in some very, very small way and part way to answering that question, because what the film sets out to do is to help young people, young adults, with just opening up that subject and considering it, loss and bereavement, and and how the loss of, certainly in the film, your mother affects every loss that comes after that, and subsequent losses, and how the loss emerges in different forms throughout our lives, and how you might stop the recurrence of that in some way, So that's sort of. There are other things to do with it, but it was kind of based on that and a lot of other bits and pieces. But yeah, that was at the hub of it, really.
Thank you. Thanks for channeling that. And obviously, Ruby, you're the leading actress in the film, along with obviously a brilliant cast as well, but it's really centered around your sort of emotional journey. What drew you to the script, and how did you get involved in the project?
When I got the script, I read it so quickly. Like, I sat down, I did not stop reading it. It was just amazing. Like, it was the script for me just stood out. I felt like I really related to this character. I felt like I understood Yakira and her journey and why she did the things that she did, and I could see myself doing similar things as well. So I just felt like I related to her, and I just wanted the job more than anything. And I was very lucky that I got it. So yeah.
Smashing, fantastic. And Ed, obviously, I'm not sure, is this your first film?
First film, your first feature.
First feature. So congratulations, because that's no small feat at all. And challenges. What were some of the challenges with bringing this production to light?
All of it, sort of thing.
Snap! I know that.
Yeah, I know. You know what it's like, right? I mean, something that I did that was a stupid mistake, and I'll never do it again, was we shot the thing in 10 days. We shot the thing in 2 weeks, and literally we were running from one setup to the next, and it was just like, so it was like not just making a film, but it was like making a film plus being on an army assault course.
Crypto factor.
yeah, with like a time clock running. It was like being in a video game. It's like the time going down and life running out and money running out and having to run across, through the woods and set up a camera and, deal with everyone's emotions and feelings and concerns. And so that was real, we needed a bit. I would have done it if I was doing it again. I'd give myself a bit more time.
Yeah, I can relate. I mean, my feature film, No Shade, I shot in 6.5 days.
Unbelievable.
And I completely empathize with you. Just people's emotions on set, running, putting people in 5 cabs, trying to get across London from one location. You just think, I am actually mad. Why have I done this?
Yeah.
Why am I giving myself this task? But actually, when you see the finished product, all the drama sort of fades away, and you think, no, it was definitely worth it. But obviously, next time around, I'll allow for some rest days and just take that time if you've got the finances to do it. So yeah.
Well, you see, one of the things that tripped me up a bit is I'd come from the world of advertising. I've spent a lot of time making adverts, you know.
Okay.
When you do that, this huge budget, you know, to make a 30-second piece of film is like 4 times the money that this whole film cost to make. And you hire everyone and everything's at your disposal and everyone's there to get it done. So it's sort of everyone does as they're told. But when you make a film, it's completely different. You're working with artists and it's everyone else's passion project too, you know. So you have to go into it with the sense of, there is a sort of sense of democracy. You know, and you have to take that into account.
Sure.
And that needs time to hear people out and listen to people, and you know. So yeah, it's a very different thing.
I totally agree. And Ruby, obviously being an actress and working on this project, for you, what was that challenging moment where you thought, yeah, I've kind of been pushed to my limit, or this is something that I've never really experienced before?
Well, me and Ed's a first-time filmmaker. This was my first time as an actress on a film as well, and I was the lead in the role. So it was really intimidating, and I think we were both in a similar position when approaching this project. What's the question again?
That's all right. The question is just any challenges that you faced. Like, was there a scene that you thought, oh God, can I go there? Can I pull this off physically or emotionally? Because you go through a lot.
Oh yeah. Every day, every night when I was back at my digs, I was having, you know, miniature meltdowns thinking, am I going to be able to portray this? Because I want it to be real and I want it to be visceral, and I want the audience to believe that my depiction of Yakira is, she would do this stuff. She's crazy enough and impulsive enough and to actually do this, to kidnap her sister. So it was a massive challenge. And I just had to have my fingers crossed that it would come across, you know, in the final edit. And I think it did.
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. It's, you know, it's a flawless performance, and I would never have guessed that was your first time in a feature film. You just carried it with a lot of confidence, and I guess that's a great chemistry between a really great director and a fantastic actress, so kudos to both of you. And Luke, welcome. Talk to us about your film and how you came to make this project. Obviously Johnny's starring in the film as well, so I'll hear from you, but if you kick off, Luke.
Yeah, so our film's called Solitary. It's a contained sci-fi film, and it's about a man who wakes up inside a room to learn that he's a prisoner sent into space because the prisons are full, and he's off to form part of Earth's first colony, and worse, he's actually trapped in the room with another prisoner who's kind of hell-bent on destroying everything. So yeah, it's quite exciting, and you know, we made it on a shoestring. We've been trying to get our first feature off the ground for a good few years, and we were lucky to have an opportunity where we went in to meet a production company, and they said, well, we're not really interested in the script you brought us, but what about that short film you've made? And we said, okay, and sort of went away and wrote a script really quickly and went back to them, and they're like, yep, that's it. And we're like, really? And they're like, yeah. And then that was that. And then a year ago today was the night before the first day of the shoot. So I was actually down at the studio stressing because the set wasn't finished. So a year ago tomorrow we were actually shooting, which is really crazy to think.
Congratulations. Is that your directorial debut as a feature?
Yeah, it's my first feature, and Johnny's first feature as leading man as well.
The leading guy. Wonderful. Well done, Johnny. Both of you are friends of the festival, have had work at the festival previously, and I think a few years, 2016 and 17 perhaps. Yeah, so welcome back. So Johnny, what was it like being in the driver's seat? You know, you're obviously, from the shorts we've seen you in before, are a leading man, definitely. So what was it like to work with Luke again and get that opportunity?
It was a roller coaster of a year. Like with Luke and I think in 2015 we had Shadows at the festival, and that had a really positive response, and we've been working since then on trying to get our first feature off the ground. And this, as Luke said, sort of happened. Quite sort of out of the blue. We've been trying lots of different things, and then suddenly this happened. It was. Yeah, I feel a lot of responsibility as the leading man in the film. Luckily, I had an amazing co-star, Lottie Tolhurst, and it was yeah, it was really exciting working with her, and she was a fantastic actress, and very supportive. And yeah, Luke's been just brilliant. We've worked together for such a long time as well, so it was just, yeah, it's one of those things, you work so hard towards something and then all of a sudden it happens, and yeah, very, very happy with what we achieved.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you for that introduction. I was just about to move on to the second question. So I'll come to Avril about what were some of the challenges there when you came to make this movie?
Oh, well, apart from trying to get some seed money just to get it in the can, which was impossible, I think the hardest part was really completing it in post. Imagine you've got most of what you need, you might still need a few pickups, but major disaster with the edit suite and you lose most of your footage and all you've got is really the raw play out so far. That was essentially my situation.
Wow.
It was a bit more nuanced than that, but ultimately I'm not able to access my footage. I'm not able to commence the director's cut, which is the most basic right with any director, you know, any director role, unless it's stipulated in a contract that it's not actually your role. You're just there to gather the footage. You are assumed to be allowed to do your director's cut. Anyone would go into a film, and that's the most reasonable thing you should expect to come away with. So you shoot it, you edit it, and if the financiers decide it's not their sort of thing, they might suggest changes that you agree with or you don't, but ultimately, because you've assigned your rights as a director, they really get the choice in the end, and what you should only hope for at most is your director's cut. And because I didn't actually get the chance to make a director's cut, I was in a very, very vulnerable position in that there was a production, but I couldn't explain why the situation had gone off the rails, and I was totally out of any control of what was happening next. And basically, it was a strange situation where it was actually being edited without me in the room, and you know, I had to get my union rep involved and my agent, and ultimately I didn't get my hands on my footage, so I had to figure out a way of creating the cut that I wanted by using anything that I could get, which was raw assembly playouts that had been secured by my representatives. Never really got a clear answer why the film producers had taken this decision to make a film that wasn't quite what I'd set out to do. But the good thing is knowing about contracts, because I didn't get a directing contract, the footage still belonged to me no matter what happened with it. So when another cut appeared, which was vastly inferior, I mean, bloody awful, to be honest, and they put my name on it as the director, it was kind of a defamatory move. So I had to finish my cut. I had to commence it and finish it to show what I was really about. And that was the hardest thing.
So is this your first movie, Avril?
My first feature as a director, yes.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, so it's really important, isn't it? I mean, this is a defining moment as a filmmaker when you have your directorial debut as a feature-length filmmaker. So
it is, because in a way, when you've got a film that's not good, a cut of a film that's not good with your name on it, and you didn't have anything to do with that, that's actually more destructive to your career, your reputation, and your future potential than it would be if you didn't have a film at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure.
So this was I had to fight back and claw it back. I mean, in this industry, everyone's got stories.
Yeah.
You know, anyone, black, male, white, female, whatever, everyone will have a story where a shoot or a production has gone awry for some reason and they don't really know why. And a lot of people have signed NDAs, so they can't even talk about it.
Sure.
But yeah, it's like having a baby. It's important to you to finish what you start, and something that comes from the heart is not easily removed from you. So there's the business side, and then there's a creative side. And when it's not just taken away from you, but you feel like it's been mutilated, you need to address it.
Yeah, so I feel like for you, this, All in a Summer's Day is your phoenix from the ashes, really. It's your breakout. No, because it's a stunning movie, as you said before, it's about a female, it's about a journey. And I think there's been, from what you're saying now to the audience, a journey within the film, but also a parallel journey for you as a filmmaker and a female filmmaker and a Black female filmmaker.
I don't look like Antonia Thomas.
But still, and I think that's it. It's about who we become in the process, and then the story we get at the end of it as well. Because everybody just sees the new baby and is, oh, gorgeous, like a great film, well done. But obviously there's a delivery process and there's trimesters and there's situations going on.
Yeah.
I'm a new mum, everyone. So obviously I'm like, baby stuff is like at the forefront of my mind. So yeah, that's really interesting, and thank you so much for sharing that. Now that we've got Misha back, for you, what was one challenging moment that you had working on Tales of the Fatherless?
Would you say like during the film or like the production side of things?
Either, whether it was pre-production, post-production, or
I'll say
afterwards.
Yeah, I say pre-production for me, because not having the finances at the first point when we actually started the film, literally we had the idea, it was literally drawing finances from everywhere, trying to apply for funding. It was a very low budget film. However, from what we did with a low budget, I think we did great. But imagine if we had more money, we could do so much more. And because we had a low budget, we couldn't get as much extras as we wanted, and bigger locations and things like that. But the cast that we did end up with in the end, even though we couldn't pay them as much as we would want to pay them, they put in so much effort. It was like a family. I've never worked with such an amazing group of people. Knowing that it was our first feature film and that they were a part of it, they really wanted to, especially in Birmingham. You don't really get much in Birmingham at the moment. So it was everybody really put their foot into, even though we were working for nothing, to be honest. They did such a good job, and the crew amazing as well. So the setback was really the finances, not having enough support on that end, not enough mentorship, not enough people, the big names that could come out and literally just kind of help us out. So I think we did good with what we could, to be honest. But
no, I totally get that. Stefan, would you add to that, or is that pretty much it for you as well as the code?
No, I would definitely add, we got very close to the end of shooting and then COVID hit. And we literally, there were a few pickup scenes that we wanted to do, but we had to rejig things and shoot things to the point where some of the final scenes that we shot, literally I had to go out with my wife and just do a couple scenes just to try and complete the story. There was a situation where we had to get one of our artists to record their own phone call and send it over to us just so that we could get the final bit. So COVID really had it really kicked us in the teeth, right? And it was so close to the end. But I mean, it stretched us. It made us have to think outside of the box. Mm-hmm. What can we do to wrap this story up and give it what it really needed? Sure. And I think based on the decisions that we made, I think we did quite well, considering everything. Literally, as soon as that locked up, this film nearly didn't get completed for Buff. Is really how it is. So that was a challenge, but we're here. We're still standing.
Can I add to that as well, Stefan? So Stefan's married to my twin sister. She's also one of the characters in the film.
Yeah. And
she wasn't pregnant when we started filming. Then, we obviously the film wasn't finished, but when we were still filming, so we started filming. I think it was like August, September. She got pregnant in September, so you couldn't tell. But then, near enough 7 months, which COVID kicked in, we had to try and hide her pregnancy, and obviously her body had changed, her face was bigger, you know, literally it was a bit, you might be able to tell in the film when she's pregnant and when she's not. You might not, if you've got some very good camera tricks, so maybe you won't be able to tell, but that's a spoiler for you. Check when she's pregnant.
Right. I'll rewatch it again then today, and I'll try and see if I can spot that baby gland.
And you know what's ironic as well, her character isn't the type of character that would have got pregnant in the film, so
yeah, she's very prim and proper in the film. No, she's a fantastic character. Awesome. And George, just taking yourself off of mute, for you, what was some of the challenges, if any, that you encountered?
I mean, there was a lot of challenges the whole time. The whole thing was challenging because we just started off with $5,000 to film a scene, basically. And from our mentor was just like, okay, like, you know, it had been a year and a half since we'd done our last drama, and he was like, oh, so you got any other scripts you're kicking around? So he gave us $5,000, and he just said, look, get some like mics and do it yourself, and let's just see where that goes. So we filmed one scene, and then we kind of raised a bit more money to shoot a bunch more scenes, but it wasn't enough to finish the script. So we had filmed with the two leads, and then one of them got like this massive play that she couldn't turn down, and it was like 7 days a week she was working. So it was just like, okay, for 3 months we couldn't shoot with her, and she's in the majority of the film. So we were like,
that's tough. 3 whole months.
Yeah, and because we were like, again, I heard you saying like you couldn't pay the people as much as you wanted to, and we were in a similar situation. So we were like, okay, so we're just gonna have to go to edit what we've got. But you know, we shot a scene at the end, and then we shot this here. So I was like, I'm editing all these scenes, but I can't edit anything together. Or I'd end the beginning of a scene or the outside of a scene, and it was like we kind of, if we knew that was going to happen, we would have probably chosen maybe a different chunk of the movie to shoot. And then she had to like cut her hair, and then it was like, she turned up, she's like, I've only trimmed it a bit. And then we went to the play, and it was like, I'm looking at Adriana, she's cut a lot of her hair off. You know, if you watch it back, you might see it, but it doesn't matter. So then that like we were just worried because we'd had loads of other actors on board who are equally busy. And we'd be like, so then once she came back, another actor who has shared a lot of her scenes was on a film, and then it was like, oh my God, we were just scared someone was gonna like shave off all their hair or have to bleach their hair or something where we were just like, how are we gonna go around that? So at the time it was very challenging. Now looking back, I'm like, it's a miracle that we kind of someone didn't have to get booked up for even longer, or like when she came back, it was just perfect timing that we could just finish off her scenes. And I did hear I think Spike Lee said it, he's like, he likes to shoot, you know, the first 2 acts of his movies, then edit, and then see if there's something missing or maybe something that would change in Act 3 from what they've filmed. So we kind of got to do that, edit the film and see, oh, maybe we could go revisit that scene and just shoot maybe a few more takes of this, or maybe that we need to put the more emphasis on this character in that scene. So it kind of gave us insight that I don't think you would get if you just had to shoot everything in 4 weeks straight. You'd have, even though we did have to do pickups, it just helped when we did the second stage of production, really. So
experience, isn't it, going from a short to a feature? And I mean, on the positive side of the feature, you've got a little bit more time to recover. So on our first day, our set wasn't finished until like lunchtime, and our red camera broke, and that was exciting. So that did lose us a day, and we only actually had 10 shooting days, which was insane. I mean, we were doing like 10, 11 pages a day. I think there were a couple of days where we did like 15, which was really not ideal, because it did mean that, you know, poor actors were getting like one really solid performance of a scene, and then that was it, and it might have been done in one shot. And then there are other scenes where we took the time and we had loads of shots. So that was a bit harsh for them, I think, because they couldn't take the risks that they might have done if we'd had more time. But yeah, I mean, you know, we had awesome stuff, like the sound stage wasn't actually soundproof, so we had sirens and all sorts in the middle of takes. So yeah, but you know, we battled through and it was good fun, and we finished it, which is the main thing.
Yeah, for real, man. Kudos for that. It's true. Just even have it finished, and I obviously have it in the can and edited as well. Because on my film, No Shade, I found that when we looked at the rushes, some of the hard drive had frozen, so we lost some footage. And I was like, fuck, because one of my actresses had just migrated to Maryland, LA, or not LA, America, and wasn't able to come back, otherwise her green card would be compromised. It was just headache. So basically I just had to do with having kind of one perspective as opposed to having the back and forth perspective of a really interesting argument. And so yeah, you just feel like, oh damn, man, you know what I mean, those challenges as well as all the other challenges on set, like cast, crew, lighting, blah 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 blah. It's really like big kudos to you, for all of you, for getting your film finished. And therefore on the flip side of that, I'll start with you, Johnny, in the sense of, is there a scene in the film, since you are the lead, that you, every time you see it, like, this is why I'm an actor, this is what we do film for? Tell us, and feel free to drop spoilers, because obviously people are going to be watching it right now, so tell us.
Yeah, so the film has a lot of action in it, and we started off with some, I say a lot of action with what we could with what we had. So it starts with some big action sequences, and I enjoy those moments, and I never really understand how they're gonna come out. Like, I try not to think too much like a director and just let Luke do his thing and do as I'm told, and you know, that's what you're there for as an actor. And seeing those sequences when they're finally edited together, because Luke edited the film as well and did pretty much, I mean, you did pretty much all, I don't think there was one visual effects shot that you didn't touch in the film. So like seeing all of that come together was epic. But then for me, as an actor, the juicy stuff where you get sort of, there were some really nice moments where there's just me and the lead actor, and the dialogues pop in, and there's a really nice juicy scene. There's a lot of stuff going on underneath. You don't quite know which direction it's going to go in, and we were given, I think, like Luke said, because we were trying to pick up on time, there were some moments where we couldn't spend as much time, but we had those moments. It was really nice to spend the time, and the variations and the subtle differences, and you can really listen to the other person, and if they're giving you something slightly different, you can react in a different way. And I get really excited when someone does something that I don't expect. I quite like the danger of that. I think that's what makes an interesting actor, is a little danger as well. So yeah, that for me, those are the juicy bits, the action sequences and how they came out, and then so the gritty dialogue moments as well. Really exciting.
Brilliant. And Luke, do you share those sentiments, or is there another kind of seminal moment in the film that really makes you feel proud as a director?
Gosh, that is such a good question. I actually think that probably not the obvious moments. I definitely look at, there's a couple of scenes where, you know, the two leads are having an argument, and it's quite spontaneous, and it's just really fun to watch. And I think the thing that viewers will never know is that we were under so much pressure. I mean, it was the end of the day to get those shots, and they had like one go at it, and they just nailed it. And, you know, thankfully it cut together perfectly, and that was that, you know, because if it hadn't, we didn't have any money to go back and reshoot it, and that was, I guess we just have a really short film. So.
No pressure, Johnny, but this is the only take.
There's a few of those moments.
Yeah, you fucked this up, bro. It's on, yeah. Yeah. Super. And Ruby, was there a moment as you watch it back, because I'm sure you've seen the whole film, some actors choose not to see their work, but I hope that you have, that you think, oh yeah, I did myself proud on that one, I gave it all I got, and it comes through in that particular scene? Or is there maybe one or two moments?
I'd say the scene at the end when they go to visit the mother's grave, and Yeah, I'd say that scene.
That scene. And what did it do for you emotionally?
It was a big release. I felt after it, I felt, you know, lighter when walking, you know, and that was what Yakira needed. You know, she needed that time. So yeah, it really wrapped it up nicely. It was cathartic to do.
You did that lovely little thing as well, where you grabbed onto the shoulders of your sister and your dad, and you did that little skip into the air.
Yes, at the
You
end.
kind of said all of that without saying a word. It was a lovely little touch.
And was that intended, Ed, or was that just?
No, that was that. Yeah, that was She should have got a writing credit. That was all her.
I love those little moments, isn't it, where, you know, the actress, the actor just, you know, comes into their own and just adds something that you just totally wasn't looking for, but actually it's the gravy, isn't it? It just gave it that extra juice or sweetness that just really brings the whole scene together. Totally. But it wasn't there, but you know, they created it for you.
Yeah, and that can be very humbling, because you can see it one way and they do something, you go, no, that's not wrong, that's not what I want. And then you kind of pause and go, well, hang on, that's actually not what I imagined, but it's better than I, you know.
Yes.
Get your own kind of shit out of the way. You sort of just see what's happening and enjoy that and make a virtue of that. Beautiful.
And so lastly, if you had unlimited funds, Ed, what would the next project be? What other stories would you like to tell?
It would be a female version of James Bond with Ruby playing Bond.
Yay!
And we'd be start on a desert island and spend a shitload of money from there on.
Sounds great. I accept.
Yeah. No, I have no idea. You know, I mean, I actually really like what I've really enjoyed that I never anticipated was the whole you know, the whole kind of indie festival scene and the people involved in it. I mean, we're up to 8 official selections now, and we've just, you know, won best narrative feature at Aesthetica, which means an awful lot to us all.
Oh, we love Aesthetica. We're good friends with Sherry and the gang, and they're beautiful people.
Yeah, and a great little festival, right? And so you know, I mean, I just want the you know, so I actually like this type of filmmaking. I like this type of filmmaking, you know, and it's something you've got to remember. It's almost the antidote to what I do, which is, you know, my bread and butter is in short format, which makes which I earn a kind of, you know, living out of. But so this is kind of the antidote to that. So if it went the other way, if it was a big feature, I don't know how that would pan out. But I think the themes that are in the film, in this film that I'd written, would be similar. I like the notion of something that helps us and is quite giving and quite psychological and to some degree mystical without being contrived. Yeah. I mean, I didn't want the film to be in social realism. I didn't want it to be another British kind of, you know, 4 kids on a council estate with an alcoholic mum. You know, I want it to be deliberately entertaining, and I hope that's what this film is. I hope you kind of sit through it and watch it and enjoy it as a, you know, as a piece of entertainment.
Yes, yeah, I think viewers definitely will. They're going to be watching the film via our website for 2 weeks, so I'm sure people will have a look at it. I mean, it does cut, you know, it does open up as almost like social realism in the sense of the home, the family home, the domestic situation. There's clearly a breakdown in communication between dad, mom, stepsister. We're not quite sure what Ruby's relationship is with her little sister.
Yeah.
And then it kind of slowly unfolds, or rapidly. And then obviously she's, you know, a teenager or, you know, a woman in her late teens, 20s. So there's that relationship she's got going on. And it kind of really opens up. But I think it's relatable. But obviously, like you say, because of the dreams and some slight abstract moments there and those internalized moments as well. There's quite a lot to take in. And then I think your personal story does come through as well. You can get a sense that something's being unpacked here. This is not just your regular story. Very, very special piece. Ruby, we've got unlimited funds and I'm a casting director. What's the script that you want to receive into your inbox? What would you love to be casting next?
Ooh. Look, if if Lars von Trier or Lynn Ramsey wanted to hire me,
hey,
I'd be there.
Yeah,
I would be so there. I'd love to work with one of those directors or David Lynch. I'm a big fan. I love indie films, but for me, independent films is what I want to do more so than the commercial world.
Sure.
So anything really independent, anything interesting, and just good scripts and good people. I think with this film, everybody loved the script, and so when everyone came to it, they were just putting everyone's hearts were in the right place for making this film, and I think that's what made it work and made it all come together. So I'd just love to experience another How to Stop a Recurring Dream, to be honest.
Superb. Brilliant. Thank you guys both so much. Ruby, I'm just going to start with you. Where can we find you on social media? We wanted to stay in touch.
Find me on Instagram at Ruby Barker or on Twitter at Real Ruby Barker.
Lovely. And Ed, what's your social media handles for you as a director, creative, and for the film, if you have one?
Yeah, my personal one is Morrisism, so MORRIS and then ISM. And there is Instagram for How to Stop a Recurring Dream as well, which is just spelt out all one word. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that goes up there, updates on the film, behind the scenes shots. And yeah, I mean, actually, Ruby's just about to star in a big Netflix series coming out in the UK.
I was just about to ask that. So
yeah, I mean, so this it's interesting at the moment because there's a lot of stuff bouncing around between the two, which is, I mean, the Netflix series is getting a lot more hits than the How to Stop a Recurring Dream. We're a tiny little movie, but it's nice to see because the characters are very different, and Ruby is saying more.
Yes, you can watch me on Netflix on Christmas Day in Bridgerton.
Bridgerton, brilliant. And I believe it's written, is it by Shonda Rhimes?
It's produced by Shonda Rhimes and it's written by Chris Van Dusen and his amazing team at Shondaland.
Amazing. And it's, that for you could mean, a whole host of things. I'm really, really excited for you and congratulations. We love to see more, I don't know if do you call yourself Black British? What's your, how do you identify?
I identify as Black British, yeah.
Black British, yeah. That's just beautiful to see more faces like yours on our small screens, big screens. This is what it's all about. And what's the role? Can you talk too much about Bridgerton?
So I'm playing quite a scandalous lady.
Because of a smile.
Who comes from the countryside into London society, and basically she's got to find an advantageous match, but she's got a few problems, a few secrets that she can't reveal. So cool. Yeah.
Good, congratulations, and we'll be watching for sure.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Ed, Ruby, thank you both so much for your time. As I said, Ed will send you the link so that you can watch this when the festival goes live.
Right.
And just thank you both for your time. Stay in touch. Lots of love.
Thank you so much. Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Goodbye.
See you.
Bye.
Thanks for showing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Misha, I was just thinking, obviously, in the flip side of this. So, what's your most proudest moment in the movie? Obviously, as a filmmaker, we have to watch our work, and then we're like, "Oh my God, I'm sick of this project. I never want to see this again." And then, obviously, if this is your festival premiere or world premiere for you, in terms of the first time an audience is seeing it in any capacity, what's that scene that you watch and you think, "God, we smashed that"? What's that?
My goodness. Gosh, there's there's so many good scenes in there. There's a couple of scenes near the end which draw the whole film together. There's one that represents Jesus and 2 thieves on the cross, the way that they're sitting and the conversation, the dialogue that they have about fatherhood and how the journey of their lives and the struggle of what they all go through sums up the whole story all up in one. And the way that it goes into the last thing, which I can't tell you because I don't want to spoil it, but just seeing how it's all brought together at the very end, it's so beautiful, and the way that they embrace and the way that it shows forgiveness and grace, and it just makes I cry every time. Even the backing track, which is sung so beautifully by one of our artists, it's so beautiful, and I can't wait for you to see it. You will cry if you engage with these characters the way that we have. But yeah.
Wonderful. Hello, Adriana. I'm just going to bring you in, mate. Just off the fly. We've heard from Georgie about some of the journey of making the film. He's just given us a lovely discussion about some of the actors shaving their or cutting their hair, or 3 months at a time, sort of being in the theatre, and, you know, some various challenges with regards to, you know, what it's like indie filmmaking. You're on the tightest of budgets, you know, some of your budgets are the sort of stuff that people, you know, big studios spend on cab fare, you know, let's put it into context. So we're looking at sort of brighter moments, in the sense of, what is one of the scenes or a few that you're kind of really, really proud of that you're able to achieve when you watch your own movie? Because people are going to go away and watch Small City on our website.
Yeah.
What scene do you want them to sort of be looking forward to watching?
Well, that's a real tough one, because there are moments of, like, some of the hardest days are the scenes we are happiest with. And
yeah,
I would say there's, what's a good example? I mean, the end scene in Portugal, just because I don't want to give anything away if people haven't seen the film, but they get to Portugal, and there's just the fact that we had a certain amount of battery left on the camera. The sun was going down. There really was no way we were going to be able to reshoot and get everyone back to Portugal. It was that kind of like, that was it. And yeah, and it was like everybody just really like stood up and was like, okay, there was no messing around. Everyone was like military precision, incredibly like focused, and we got it. Everybody played their part, so I'm really proud of what we pulled off there. But there's so many other scenes and days and sort of working with other actors that was just so incredibly rewarding. And yeah, we feel really blessed to have been able to have those scenes come together, really. Yeah, I think that would be the Portugal one. I don't know, Georgie, does that feel?
I'd add one more moment, is like, because we had shot the film like with a very small crew.
Yeah.
You know, there was 4 of us, you know, and then sometimes maybe if we had a steady cam, there'd be 6, but it was never more than really 4. And there was lots of it is shot in cars, and we had like small cameras on the side of the car. So obviously when you're filming a scene with 2 people in a car, you know, there needs to be a driver and then someone recording sound. So then it would just be me and Adriana would be driving. I'd be miking up them, checking the monitors on the screens, and then the 2 leads are like talking to each other. And it's the first time in the film, because they're like thrust into this situation together. They're strangers, they don't know each other, they're from 2 different worlds. So it's very tricky to write dialogue, like what would they say, what would they not say, what would they kind of just feel out between each other. So we got to like, it's just me and Adriana just driving around in circles in this car for like, you know, like 2 hours, and we just kept on like going over the dialogue, and then it just became so real. And like the silences between them and their looks away, and it just like we kind of got lost, and it would just be like, okay, can we just keep doing this? Like whenever you get
It's like
to
a
the
chance. And no, you're so right. And that scene in particular, sorry, now that I can actually unfold my brain, that scene in particular, it was just because it was just the 4 of us, Georgie, Eddie, and Isabella, and it really kind of like, it got so intimate. It was like almost like a trance. Like you could just tell that people were willing to go way further in terms of how deep they were going to dig for it, like really take off all the shield and the armor. And we all did. Like it was palpable. Like we were in the car, we were feeling it too. You know, it was like, and it was definitely all of a sudden you just started to hear that something was going on, and it was changing, and they were going to deeper places. So yeah, absolutely, Georgie, thank you for saying that, because that was really the one we thought. And it's funny because we were just watching a document, like an interview with Soderbergh, and he's talking about when he shot Traffic, he ended up operating on it himself, and he talked about that intimacy that it built up between him and the actors. It became so close and kind of, and it heightened everything. And I definitely, yeah, gee, that I would say, forget the end bit in Portugal. It was that scene in terms of what he was saying, is like, that's, yeah.
You can have two.
Okay, great. Yeah. Those 2. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Adriana. And just lastly from you, Avril, what was that scene for you that you look at and you think, yeah, man, I did my thing? It was, yeah.
I would say it's those moments when you watch the actor and you don't remember writing what they're doing. And I think Antonia, hopefully she felt empowered enough that you just wind her up, and Jamie, and you let them go. They know the content of the scene, they know the end point, and anything that happens in between the beginning and the end, I trust them absolutely. And they were finding things that not only that I couldn't write, but there's no word for it, these human nuances. And as a combination, they created one particular moment, I think. I can't tell you what it is, but you'll probably know it when you see it. That I just let her take her time. I let him take his time, say what he thinks. And it became real. And I thought, oh no, should I phone the police? No, I like when they do things and you forget that it came from a script. And that's the most fulfilling thing, because that suddenly makes you a punter, it makes you an audience member, and then you get that fresh, objective view, and then you realize this is a standard you have to try and keep up.
Wonderful, wonderful, really, really exciting stuff. So last questions, everyone. Just thinking about your next projects and what you've learned from all of your wonderful films. You know, if you had unlimited funds, what story would you like to tell next? I'll come to you, Stefan.
Oh, the film that I've got, that if I had unlimited budget, I've got this film, which is a British urban street dance movie. It's a coming of age. It talks or plays into what kids and young people used to do when they would go to like dance classes, but also the element of the smaller independent rawness of youth clubs, where they used to just kind of like see moves in music videos and then kind of just clash each other. There's, and especially coming up, I mean, Sade, my wife, dancer, and I used to dance as well growing up, and a lot of the most fondest memories used to be when we were out at youth clubs and somebody would put a beat on. We weren't like rappers and MCs back then, and it was like a lot of it was dance. A lot of it was just like street dance and popping and locking and working out new moves. And I've got this idea of this story of just a young person finding themselves and finding who they are through the means of expression of street dance, where
where is this set? Because I get the feels straight away that we're talking about 90s.
Yeah,
because I think post 90s kids are not kids in that sense. You know, youth club now is not, there's no youth clubs mainly in the main all throughout the country, and if they are, they're places sadly for things like grooming, in the sense of, you know, for shotting and, you know, selling drugs and, you know, more kind of adult material. But I remember that youth club was everything. As soon as the school bell rang, you ran to the youth club and you couldn't wait to do some level of formation and, you know, whilst playing, you know, dodgeball or some other apparatus game. You know, you could be a child, you know. And that was really celebrated. Wow, that's lovely. That's really nostalgic. That just took me way back. And I saw Georgie nodding his head. So I'm going to come to Georgie, who was also thinking probably about the tracks that he used to dance to. And
Well, mine's going to be very, very, very different. It's just one of my favorite films. It's a Japanese animation called Akira. To basically do that shot for shot, but live action, just if you could do that, it would just be the best. It would be the blockbuster. It would also be, it's got a crazy message about spirituality and kind of something I still don't really understand now. Every time I watch it, I learn something new. But I just think that if you're telling me I could get any budget, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do that live action though, and like all the camera techniques you would need and all the rigs.
Japanese actors as well, because I think they were going to remake it in America with like non-Japanese actors. It just doesn't make sense. It's Akira.
Yeah, so I think that would be and basically because it's an amazing storyboard anyway, because it was a graphic novel. So I think there'd be so much to draw from. And even in the graphic novel, it goes into like the backstory of the whole like mythology of the film. And I just think, wow, if you got the money, I'd do that basically.
Wonderful, thank you again. Very nostalgic when you're talking about Akira.
Yeah.
And I think about manga, just different things that you just didn't understand the context of it, but you knew that it was something very special.
Yeah.
Very alternative. Yeah. Avril, what about you?
Well, I have to resist. If I get a big budget, I have to resist making about 5 or 6 films out of it. If it had to be one film, I would either make Storm, the feature film of Storm for Marvel, or feature film of The Crimson Avenger for DC. Other than that, my own properties, I've got a film where I just smash up loads of cars. There are loads of stunts, car chases. There's a human story in it, but
That's always like quite therapeutic as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, there's a heist element, but it's not stealing things. There's a getaway element, but it's not where you're going. It's it's where you think you're going. So there's a mystery, it's a thriller, it's action, all with a female lead. So if anyone's interested, I've got the script.
I'm an actor. Stefan's wife is, send us the script, love. Adriano, what about you?
Hard to top remaking Akira shot for shot. I just that would literally be. That would be pretty amazing. I mean, I'd be making it with Georgie, so I guess we would be doing that. We've got a few other projects that we've been writing, which they're not necessarily massive blockbuster budgets, but I'm sure some of them could be turned into that. But for the most part, I'd say maybe if you had a massive budget, it might be an opportunity and like a bit of responsibility to make something, do a historical account of something that hasn't really been recognized or hasn't been depicted in cinema before. There's like the Muslim version of Schindler in Paris, World War II, who sheltered loads of Jewish guys in the basement of his mosque. That's probably a movie the world could do with right now. So that, maybe if I had a massive budget, that's one of the ideas, but it'd be difficult not to do Akira shot for shot.
Okay. Sounds like you're sold on that. And lastly, Misha.
Well, if you was living in my house for the past 6 months, you'd know, but I'm obsessed with Hamilton at the moment. I've watched Hamilton about 15 times, and I can honestly say that.
More than that.
Probably more than that. I'm obsessed with it every single day. So, with that being said, obviously with the whole Black Lives Matter things that have been happening this year as well, and my obsession with Hamilton, I was thinking about ways that I could do something very similar, but has more representation of me and my culture as well. So I was thinking, okay, picture this. Okay, a hip hop musical based on the lives of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. So it's about their story, and it's based from music, and it's also about faith, because obviously Martin was Christian and Malcolm was Muslim.
Yeah.
And how their stories intertwined, because they were actually processing at the same time, and they both died 3 years within each other, and they both got shot. So it's just like their whole story is interlinked. So it's about their connection, how they made a way in history for people of color, and about faith as well. So hip hop. So it just brings something that I love and relates to our culture as well, and about our history and everything that's happened. So if I had an unlimited budget, that's what it'll go to.
If you had unlimited funds, Ed, what would the next project be? What other stories would you like to tell?
It would be a female version of James Bond with Ruby playing Bond.
Yay!
And we'd be start on a desert island and spend a shitload of money from there on.
Sounds great. I accept.
Yeah. No, I have no idea. I mean, I actually really like what I've really enjoyed that I never anticipated was the whole kind of indie festival scene and the people involved in it. I mean, we're up to 8 official selections now, and we've just won best narrative feature at Aesthetica, which means an awful lot to us all.
Oh, we love Aesthetica. We're good friends with Sherry and the gang, and they're beautiful people.
Yeah, and a great little festival, right? And so I mean, I just want the so I actually like this type of filmmaking. I like this type of filmmaking, you know, and it's something you've got to remember. It's almost the antidote to what I do, which is, you know, my bread and butter is in short format, which makes which I earn a kind of, you know, living out of. So this is kind of the antidote to that. So if it went the other way, if it was a big feature, I don't know how that would pan out. But I think the themes that are in the film, in this film that I'd written, would be similar. I like the notion of something that helps us and is quite giving and quite psychological and to some degree mystical without being contrived. Yeah. I mean, I didn't want the film to be in social realism. I didn't want it to be another British kind of, you know, 4 kids on a council estate with an alcoholic mum. You know, I want it to be deliberately entertaining, and I hope that's what this film is. I hope you kind of sit through it and watch it and enjoy it as a, you know, as a piece of entertainment.
Yes, yeah, I think viewers definitely will. They're going to be watching the film via our website for 2 weeks, so I'm sure people will have a look at it. I mean, it does cut, you know, it does open up as almost like social realism in the sense of the home, the family home, the domestic situation. There's clearly a breakdown in communication between dad, mom, stepsister. We're not quite sure what Ruby's relationship is with her little sister.
Yeah.
And then it kind of slowly unfolds, or rapidly. And then obviously she's, you know, a teenager or, you know, a woman in her late teens, 20s. So there's that relationship she's got going on. And it kind of really opens up. But I think it's relatable. But obviously, like you say, because of the dreams and some slight abstract moments there and those internalized moments as well. There's quite a lot to take in. And then I think your personal story does come through as well. You can get a sense that something's being unpacked here. This is not just your regular story. Very, very special piece. Ruby, we've got unlimited funds and I'm a casting director. What's the script that you want to receive into your inbox? What would you love to be casting next?
Ooh. Look, if Lars von Trier or Lynn Ramsey wanted to hire me, I'd be there.
Yeah,
I would be so there. I'd love to work with one of those directors or David Lynch. I'm a big fan. I love indie films, but for me, independent films is what I want to do more so than the commercial world.
Sure.
So anything really independent, anything interesting, and just, you know, just good scripts and good people. I think with this film, everybody loved the script, and so when everyone came to it, they were just putting everyone's hearts were in the right place for making this film, and I think that's what made it work and made it all come together. So I'd just love to experience another How to Stop a Recurring Dream, to be honest.
Superb. Brilliant. Luke, last question. You've got unlimited funds. What's the next film we'll make him?
God. the opposite problem.
Yes.
I'd love to. I love the mega blockbuster films that, you know, Christopher Nolan and Star Wars and all of the mainstream commercial fodder that, you know, a lot of us indies kind of turn our noses up to sometimes, but secretly really enjoy. You know, I'd love to go and make something, you know, an action thriller or something with some, you know, some big action scenes and set pieces. That'd be a lot of fun. I think we realized during this project that, you know, we had like 2 or 3 days to shoot action, and it's just, you can spend weeks shooting that stuff. And I think actually it's the time that, you know, you really benefit from in any kind of filmmaking craft. I'm sure it's the same in comedy or drama or whatever. The more time you can spend on it, the better it's going to be, because you can really tune those performances. So I think that's the thing that we missed the most. I'd kind of love to have made this film with an unlimited budget.
Super. And Johnny, what film would you love to be? What would your next leading role be like if you had your pick of the litter for scripts?
I mean, that's a big question as well. I'd really like to get myself. I'd really like to get my teeth into a series. I think actually at this point, like, I love film. I always find it heartbreaking when a film's over, because you build such sort of intense relationships with everyone, and then you know, at the end of the film, Luke and I just kind of sat there in the car together and went, and that's it. And that's it. It's done. You know, we sort of, I dropped Luke home and drove home, and I was like, oh, cool. And yeah, I've had the opportunity to work on sort of a TV series for about a year, and I just loved, I don't know, man, I love being in that world. I love being on set. I love being around people. It's where I feel at home. So I also feel as an actor, you really get to develop a character and get to know the character, and you see them sort of before and after events and all of that. So there's a lot of stuff out there that I'd like to get my teeth into. So yeah, maybe I'd quite like, I don't know, a really dark, gritty drama, like something like Mindhunter or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Or a cop series or something like that. Yeah.
Gosh, I'm the most disorganized person ever. You can find me ranting on Twitter as Frontier Woman, not Frontier Woman Dash, because that's some American lunatic. Just Frontier Woman with my name on the front. And from there, you may find my website if I actually get it sorted out.
Superb. Stefan?
You can find me at www.stefandavis.com. You can find me on socials under Stefan Davis Acts, or the main one I use is Instagram, which is stefandavis.co.uk.
Awesome. Thank you. Georgie?
I'm Georgie Curran and director Small City. I'm not really the best on social media. I've got an Instagram, and I don't know what the handle is off the top of my head right now.
Uses it.
The one for Small City.
I've got there's we've got vimeo.com/Villanova Curran, and that's got all of our previous work, a couple of our short films on there. There's Instagram.com Small City the movie, I think, and
Villanova Curran, that one.
Yeah, then there's a Villanova Curran one.
Villanova Curran. All right, cool.
Villanova Curran. It's just Villanova Curran is the candle, is it, on Instagram?
Yeah.
Great.
Is that where we can find you as well, Adriana?
Yeah, that's yeah. Exactly.
Cheers, mate. And lastly, Misha, where can we find you?
My personal Instagram account is Misha, MISHA_Nadine, NADINE. That's my Instagram. My company, Gap Entertainment, is Gap_Entertainment on Instagram. That's more updated. We also have a website, the same name, Gap Entertainment. So those are the main things. Facebook as well, the same names, Misha and Gap Entertainment. So yeah.
Oh, there's also the Tale of the Fatherless Instagram page as well, which is the Tale of the Fatherless, but it's Tale of the Fatherless with underscores. So lose the and just Tale of the
underscores after each word. Tale underscore of underscore the, because we'll put this up on the screen. Where can we find you on social media? We wanted to stay in touch.
Find me on Instagram at Ruby Barker or on Twitter at Real Ruby Barker.
Lovely. And Ed, what's your social media handles for you as a director, creative, and for the film, if you have one?
Yeah, my personal one is Morrisism, so MORRIS and then ISM. And there is Instagram for How to Stop a Recurring Dream as well, which is just spelt out all one word. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that goes up there, updates on the film, behind the scenes shots. And yeah, I mean, actually, Ruby's just about to star in a big Netflix series coming out in the UK.
I was just about to ask that. So
yeah, I mean, so this it's interesting at the moment because there's a lot of stuff bouncing around between the two, which is, I mean, the Netflix series is getting a lot more hits than the How to Stop a Recurring Dream. We're a tiny little movie, but it's nice to see because the characters are very different, and Ruby is saying more.
Yes, you can watch me on Netflix on Christmas Day in Bridgerton.
Bridgerton, brilliant. And I believe it's written, is it by Shonda Rhimes?
It's produced by Shonda Rhimes and it's written by Chris Van Dusen and his amazing team at Shondaland.
Amazing. And it's, you know, that for you could mean, you know, a whole host of things. I'm really, really excited for you and congratulations. We love to see more, you know. I don't know if do you call yourself Black British? What's your, how do you identify?
I identify as Black British. Yeah.
Black British, yeah. That's just a beautiful to see more faces like yours on our small screens, big screens. This is what it's all about.
We're at Solitary Movie. Luke and I are Inspired Pictures, so at Inspired Pictures, and me personally at Johnny Sation for my socials.
Perfect. Luke?
And obviously the same for the film, but my personal one is Luke J. Armstrong.
Wonderful. Well, look.
Sorry I was late, guys. Really sorry about that. But
No, you're fine. Couldn't be helped. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the British Urban Film Festival Drama 2 Showcase. You've heard from the directors. Their work is on our website right now for you to buy, rent and watch. www.britishurbanfilmfestival.co.uk. Also look out for the nominations for the Buff Awards as well. Some of these films might be in contention. And also you can follow all of the Buffness via our social medias at Buff Connects on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. I'm Claire Anyam Osigwe. You can follow me at Claire Anyam O. And yeah, go forth and prosper. Enjoy the films and we'll see you very, very soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. Great meeting you all.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.